Hi guys, Lady Yoga here, and this is Yoga Quickies, the show where you tell us what you want out of your yoga or fitness routine, and we deliver it to you in 5 minutes or less. This one comes from Mark via Twitter. He's from Cedar Rapids, Michigan, and is having some problems with his low back. He just started doing yoga at a studio and says his low back is always sore after he practices. So we're going to give him about a 5-minute routine that he can either do before the studio or kind of on a daily basis in tandem with his work at the studio, and maybe his other fitness routines that he didn't mention if he's got other fitness routines. But if you do and you tend to have low back issues, and that's for anyone out there, we're going to do a few things that are going to help strengthen the core and the low back so we can kind of stay steady through our yoga practice and any other fitness routine that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and put 5 minutes on the clock, and we'll actually start on our back. So on our back, we'll just lay down and bring the heels pretty close to the tush. So you want to be able to kind of reach towards, with your longest finger towards your heel, and make sure that the low back is pressing into the floor. So if that means a slight tuck of the tailbone, you can go ahead and do that. And then just pull the belly in a little bit as if you were going to zip up a tighter pair of jeans, just so you feel the belly engagement. And all we're gonna do here is press into all 4 corners of the feet and just slowly start to lift the hips in that one long line. You can even take your hand to the low back and make sure that it's the same length as the floor, right? So you don't wanna overarch or over round here. You wanna keep this whole length of the spine lifting and lowering here. Now, if you see that the knees are winging out to the side each time you lift up, go ahead and grab a yoga block or a very thick book. I always recommend like a Stephen King kind of book. They're always kind of on the biggish side. Any Lord of the Rings book will do. And place it on the upper inner thighs so you can still use the strength of your core and low back to lift and lower. And go ahead and do that about 10, 15 times. Enough where you feel the belly engaged, and you don't want to overdo it with the booty. And that's our bridge pose. And then from here, you can take the knees into a tabletop. So imagine that those knees are just resting on a low coffee table. So you don't want it to be lifting up too high or too low. You want to imagine that those calf muscles are just resting here. And you can open up your arms sort of like a cactus, right? Or goalposts like football. And you'll slowly start to twist. Now those legs don't have to drop all the way down towards the floor. You just want enough strength in your side waist and obliques to feel that strength as you pull up and down. And just check in with the shoulders here. Make sure that they're nice and noodly here. You just want to use the strength of your lower body. That's the low back and the core. And you can do side to side about 5 to 10 times without losing those legs, like bringing them in or sending them out. You want to keep those knees in line with the hips. And we'll just go side to side, keeping the upper body nice and relaxed. You can roll off to one side, and then we'll come into our locust pose. So you'll just lie on your back, and you can keep the legs nice and long. Just zip up the inseams of the legs. So you want your big toes and your heels to be in the same line. You want to make sure that the upper body is nice and noodly. And then keeping those legs nice and long, you'll just lift and lower those legs, keeping those legs razor sharp. Check in with those upper bodies, make sure that they're nice and noodly, so you're just focusing on the lower body. You should feel some strength in that low back. And then after 5 or 10, give yourself a rest, allowing the big toes to touch and the heels to rest apart, kind of like opening that book. And then you can rest your forehead onto those palms or take the palms back behind the head. Pull the abdominals in. You might want to even take your palm right to your navel center and imagine you got a little peanut there. You don't want to press that peanut into your yoga mat and make peanut butter, right? It's really gross. You want to keep that peanut nice and whole. Pull the belly in. You want to feel that same length in the low back. And then from here, you'll just lift and lower, allowing the lower body to be relaxed. So if you need to, just kind of slap that booty a little bit. Make sure that your booty is nice and relaxed. A tiny bit of firmness is okay. You just don't want any gripping. And you can do 5 to 10 here, and then you can relax, taking one head to the side, one side of your head to the side, the other side of the head. And then from here, you're going to join it together. So you can take your palms back behind the head, zip up the inseam of the leg, and start to lift and lower. So you'll lift and lower 5 to 10 times. And then as you're ready, you can flip over just like a pancake
Take those palms right underneath the hips, the very, very lowest part of your back, almost towards your sacrum. So this will support the low back. And then from here, a little bend in the knees, you'll just lift and lower the legs. Now the low back never comes off of the floor, so the lift and lower might just be a few inches, right? And over time, you'll start to feel the low back get stronger, and you'll be able to go from capital L all the way to parallel to the floor. You'll check in with the upper body, make sure it's nice and noodly, you're not tense in the jaw. And you can do that 5 or 10 times. And really all you're doing is strengthening the entire belt line. So from the navel center all the way to your low back. You can just do that in 5 minutes, 5 to 10 on each side with the bridge pose. And you can do that at the beginning of your day. You'll feel nice and strong for the rest of your day. Thanks, timer. Or you can do that directly before your yoga class so that you feel your core is already on. So a lot of the times when you go to a yoga studio, it's not like they do core work at the very beginning. So this might be a nice thing for you to do, turn on the core, and then you'll be able to really check in with the low back. You'll be in tune with the low back as you practice. So Mark, I hope that's helpful. And for anybody out there that has some issues with their low back, strengthening through the low back and the core, maybe they have an injury, this is really a good little tidbits of stuff that you can do on a daily basis and in tandem with your yoga practice. So thanks so much. I'm Lady Yoga. This is Yoga Quickies. If you want to know something about or learn something about your own yoga practice, you're just beginning or you're an expert and just want a little fine tuning, subscribe below. Let us know what you need to know and we'll deliver to you in 5 minutes or less. Thanks so much for watching. Namaste, guys.